What is up, guys? Welcome to March, and if you guys have followed this channel since I've started, I've been doing this series called March Madness. Now, last year I didn't finish, so I'm gonna put the bracket that I had last year on the screen right now. Now, this was just scare zones from when I started going to the event. To me, it was very hard. It wasn't hard at all. The winner to me was Trick or Treat. I ended up not posting it because of everything that happened with the pandemic, and then everything got complicated. I started Horror Nights Unscripted, and it kind of lost track of March. So there's the answer for last year's winner. It was Trick or Treat. Now for this year, we're going with intellectual property houses since I started attending the event back in 2013. For a warning, I didn't go through 3 houses my first year, and those were Evil Dead, American Werewolf in London, and Cabin in the Woods. I highly regret it, but I can't do anything about that now. So, without further ado, right after the intro, we're gonna get straight into March Madness. Alright guys, welcome back from the intro. Here's the new bracket for this year. I color coordinated so it matches the Little Reaper. This series is going to be completely different from the last ones that we've done. I'm going to put out 5 March Madness videos this year, and that's it. It's not going to be like a bunch of videos throughout the month. This first one's going to focus on the top left half of this bracket, then the next one will be the bottom left, then top right, bottom right, and it's going to be all the way until the final 4, and then the final video will be the final 4, where I will go completely into detail on why I think which house is better than the other. Got it? Okay, because I didn't want to make you guys wait. I didn't want to put a lot of pressure on either of us. So, without further ado, let's start with this. The first matchup is The Walking Dead from HHN 23 going up against The Walking Dead from HHN 24. Now, both of these houses were really good houses. One was in a soundstage, the other was in a parade building. To me, if I'm being completely honest here, the one from 24 had a much better facade. The scares were good. You went from Terminus. I'm not a huge Walking Dead fan, so don't get mad here. You were going to Terminus, if I'm not mistaken, or you were leaving Terminus. And the end of this house with the fenced strobe looked pretty cool. It was a really fun way to do this. And to me, honestly, the only thing I can really remember from the 23 house, even after rewatching the walkthroughs, was like a crawl. Not a crawl, but like when you bent down and walk through. So if it were up to me, really, well, it's my bracket, so it is up to me. HHN 24 is The Walking Dead. We'll move on. Next up, we have The Walking Dead from HHN 25 going up against The Walking Dead from HHN 26. The Walking Dead from 25, I can just sum it up in 2 words. Jacuzzi zombies. Yeah. 26, however, on the other hand, had all of the seasons in one house, which to me I think is such a solid house still. It encompasses everything you want in The Walking Dead, and it was a good send-off to the property. I know that people hate on this property all the time, and they just think it's came to the event too many times, which I agree. However, I feel like having it there so many times gave you a variety, and it made it fun. Would I want it back? No. Anyways, the winner for this one will be The Walking Dead from HHN 26. So, that's the one that has all the seasons. Up next, we have the American Horror Story houses taking each other on. So, the American Horror Story from HHN 26, which was Murder House, Freak Show, and Hotel, going up against American Horror Story from 27, which was Coven, Asylum, and Roanoke Nightmare. Now, both of these houses were top-notch houses. Still, to me, they're probably in my top 20 houses that I've ever been through. I know it's a lot, but still, there's a lot of good houses. American Horror Story, the first year, was something different and so surreal. When I first heard the music hitting, you guys know that very boom, boom, boom. That, as soon as I heard that, I was just drawn in. And then seeing all these different people, creatures from the show was so amazing. Like, you can't catch this anywhere else. However, on the other hand, American Horror Story from 27 was good. It was really good. It really brought everything together from the 3 shows. It displayed them, well, of course both houses displayed them well. And I feel like if either of these ever came back to Horror Nights now, they'd still be very popular amongst the fans. Now, if it were to me, if I had to choose one of these 2, I'm gonna have to go with American Horror Story from 26, the one that featured Murder House, Freak Show, and Hotel. It was just such a good house, and I wish I could see it again. Next on this little bracket here, we have Stranger Things 1 from 28 versus Stranger Things 2 from 29. Now, if you've watched my videos, you know my displeasure with Stranger Things 2 because it's not what we expected. But do I think it's better than the first one? No, not at all. Not at all. The first one was actually a really good house. It's possibly one of my favorite show adaptations. It's done so well. And now, I didn't even get to go through this house so many times like I did for the second one. And I still feel like this house was great. It made me want to go through Stranger Things 2. So with that being said, Stranger Things from HHN 28 is moving on to the next round. And with that, that is the first round of this side. So we're going to move back to the top now, see what we're doing here, and I'm going to say The Walking Dead HHN 24 versus The Walking Dead from HHN 26. So you see we're like working one whole side of the bracket. Okay. So The Walking Dead from 24, like I said, Terminus, really well done. Yes. The Walking Dead from 26 have every single season featured. Now, thinking back on it, which house gave me better scares? Which house was more elaborately done? Elaborately done, it will go to 26. Scares, it will go to 24. So I have to think of set design and how everything was put out. And for me, it's going to have to go with The Walking Dead from HHN 24. I mean, everything about this house was well done. I just enjoyed it so much, and if you don't believe me, watch the walkthrough so you can see how nice and scenic this was for a regular Walking Dead house. So, The Walking Dead from HHN 24 moves on. And now for the bottom half of this bracket, we have American Horror Story from HHN 26 taking on Stranger Things from 2018. And might I say, this is possibly 2 of my favorite houses I've ever been through. And you might hear me say that a lot through the series, but this is completely being honest. These are 2 of my favorite houses I've ever been through. So, if I'm being honest here, Stranger Things does a lot for me. It was a really good house. However, American Horror Story was super solid. It had everything I wanted in a house. Like I said previously, it had the 3 seasons. 2 of those 3 seasons are my favorite seasons from American Horror Story. Those 2 seasons being Freak Show and Murder House. Now, as for Stranger Things, yes, it's a good house. Yes, it's scenically gorgeous. The fact that you go from a regular Earth into the Upside Down is just phenomenal. The fact that it makes you feel immersed in the show. It's one of the best adaptations from screen to house that I've seen in forever. But I'm going to have to go with my gut on this one, and I'm going with American Horror Story. It's the one thing that if someone asks me, what do you want back at the event that you've seen before, I tell you American Horror Story, because it's great. Now, let's get down to the final 2 on this side of the bracket, meaning the winner here gets to go to the final 4. And we have The Walking Dead from HHN 24 going up against American Horror Story from HHN 26. Both phenomenal houses. Both great. Both fans were kind of annoyed at the fact that it'll be coming back again. But that doesn't matter. These are great houses. The Walking Dead, I can defend that exact house as much as possible because it was good. American Horror Story, I can talk about that house forever. Because to me, that was the saving grace of HHN 26. Yes, we had The Exorcist, which is also a good house, but I'll plead that alone. Now, if I had to choose between American Horror Story and The Walking Dead, these two being two very good houses, again, I'm gonna have to go with my gut and tell you American Horror Story. American Horror Story is going to be going to the Final Four. Yeah, I'm okay with that choice, 100%. So that's the first half of the bracket there. Now, I just want to say that I left one IP off of the entire thing, and it was Resident Evil. Due to the fact that this is honestly not my least favorite, but one of my least favorite houses I've ever been through. Now, I know you guys had different opinions on it, so you guys can tell me how you feel about Resident Evil, but to me, it was my least favorite house, and I feel like if I included that here, it would kind of be like, yeah, you're out of here first round. So I feel like everything here is a decent competition, and it'll have some fun. I'll put the bracket on the screen again, so you guys get an updated bracket. Alright? And like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what your winner would be for this bracket, like either this side of the bracket or the whole bracket in general. Let me know. I'm also going to be running a poll on Instagram to see your winners. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you already haven't done so, and stay excellent, my dudes.